as you look at the larger landscape of the NFL draft right now. We know pretty much, it appears with some degree of certainty, who's going 1, who's going 2, and who is going 3. And we know and have known for a long time, Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1 overall. And then as soon as Sam Darnold was traded, Zach Wilson going number 2 overall to the Jets has been locked in. And increasingly, it is appearing more and more likely that Mac Jones is going to be going to the San Francisco 49ers. He is now a big favorite to end up with the San Francisco 49ers. If that is true, then we have talked about the decision that the Atlanta Falcons are going to have at 4. And right now, the Atlanta Falcons are favored to draft Kyle Pitts with the number 4 overall pick. Now, there might also be some teams that are willing to trade up and try to get that Atlanta Falcons pick because they might be interested in Justin Fields or in Trey Lance. And so that's what I really want to talk about right now. If we presume that those top 3 are in order, and by the way, I think the Falcons are going to draft Kyle Pitts. So if you're out there and you enjoy doing mock drafts, I think your first 4 picks, I think there's a good chance you get those right with Trevor Lawrence, with Zach Wilson, with Mac Jones, and with Kyle Pitts. I think those first 4 are going to be your picks, okay? So maybe not a lot of drama on Thursday, and there may not be any drama until we get to the 3rd pick in 15 days when the first round is happening. I think we got the first 4 pretty much locked in right now, barring the Atlanta Falcons deciding to trade or the Mac Jones gambling markets being completely wrong, all right? So that leaves me with this next question, which is who is going to draft Justin Fields and who is going to draft Trey Lance, okay? So I'm going to try to break it down looking at the odds market, considering the needs and where picks are. And I think right now that the most likely team to draft Justin Fields is going to end up being the Denver Broncos. The Broncos have had a star-crossed attempt to find a quarterback that makes sense basically ever since John Elway retired. And we have spent a lot of time in sports media and among fans and everybody else sitting around talking about the Miami Dolphins' challenges as it pertains to replacing Dan Marino. But I think as a result, the Denver Broncos have kind of slid under the radar when you look at all of the guys that they have tried to bring in to replace John Elway. Now, one reason that the Broncos have not gotten anywhere near the same amount of attention as the Miami Dolphins is because, to John Elway's credit, he was able to bring Peyton Manning to town. And the Broncos went to 2 Super Bowls with Peyton Manning, won 1 of them. But Manning was an already proven guy who the Broncos, to their credit, gambled on his health and that they were going to be able to get a good value from him. And they got a tremendous value from Peyton Manning joining the Denver Broncos. And that helps to paper over all of the failures in the draft that John Elway has put together at the quarterback position. In fact, Dub, assignment for you right now, and just jump in when you're ready to give it to me. Look up all of the Denver Bronco quarterbacks that have started since John Elway left. And obviously we know Peyton Manning, and I can run through a bunch of them off the top of my head right now, but also the draft picks that they have failed on. And right now, I'll be honest with you, I liked Drew Lock coming out of Missouri. I like his ability to throw the deep ball. I know they have a lot of good young wide receiver talent right now with the Broncos and still have a pretty solid defense. And Vic Fangio has been kind of focused on that side of the ball in terms of historically coaching-wise. But I think if Justin Fields is there, you have to consider taking a shot with him. All right, Dub, give me the Bronco quarterbacks other than Peyton Manning since John Elway has been trying to replace himself effectively.
Yeah, so we got Brock Osweiler. That's one. Trevor
That's
Siemian.
First-round pick, right? Brock Osweiler was first-round pick, yeah.
Trevor Siemian, who was a later-round pick.
Yep.
Paxton Lynch, another
first-rounder. Yep.
And Case Keenum.
That's not even it. Dude, you got way more than that. Just off the top of my head, they had Jake Plummer was, I think, the first guy. They had Brian Greasy. They had
I thought you said since Peyton Manning.
No. I'm saying since they've tried to replace John Elway with. So Peyton Manning was kind of they got lucky, is what I'm saying, with Peyton Manning, because he was already a known quantity. And I think you have to give John Elway credit for convincing Peyton Manning to come to Denver. But in terms of the sheer number of quarterbacks that they have rolled through in Denver, they've never really had a guy that you could rely on. Now, you hit 2 of the first-round picks in Brock Osweiler and in Paxton Lynch that totally have busted. But they have been going for nearly, over 20 years now since John Elway retired, and the vast majority of the guys that they have brought in to try to replace him have been disasters. And the reason why we don't talk about them as much in the same context as the Miami Dolphins is because of the Peyton Manning bridge, where they convinced Manning, John Elway did, to come play for them. But let me circle back around. To me, Justin Fields is the next first-round candidate that the Denver Broncos are going to have an opportunity to make a play on. And maybe they like Trey Lance better. It's possible that they like Trey Lance better. But if I were betting right now, I would say that the Denver Broncos are going to be the team that drafts Justin Fields. And if you are looking at the first round of the draft, I think it's possible. I think it's possible that when you sort of survey the landscape, that the Broncos aren't even going to have to trade up. Because if you look at what people are going to do, and I said I'm a draftnik now, I'm a guru. I mean, I care about the NFL draft and the first round order. I can give you, I think, a pretty good approximation of the guys that are going to be drafted as we kind of run through the first round here, right? And so, to me, the most interesting part as you run through is, we said the Falcons at 4. I think they're going to go with Kyle Pitts. The Bengals, I think they're going to end up going on the offensive line. There may be an argument out there that Joe Burrow is making that he wants to have Jamar Chase, and I expect Jamar Chase to be the first wide receiver off the board out of LSU, set out the past year. But I think the Bengals are going at 5 to go offensive line. Either way, we know the Bengals are not going to be in a position to draft a quarterback. The Miami Dolphins sitting at 6. Again, I think they can go wide receiver. I think they can go tackle. We'll be interested to see what exactly they do there. Then I think the Detroit Lions are your first team that could be in the mix to potentially go get a quarterback as well. I'm not sure that they're going to make that move, but I think the Denver Broncos are going to end up, before all is said and done, with Justin Fields, and I think they might need to trade up in order to do it, but it's also possible, sitting there at number 9, that they are going to be able to get their quarterback without having to move at all. But to me, the running group where you start to have a possibility of one of these guys coming off the board is you look at the Lions at 7, the Carolina Panthers at 8, and the Denver Broncos at 9. I think 2 out of 3, before all is said and done, of those teams have a very good chance to go get Justin Fields. So if you look at the odds markets right now, Justin Fields right now, literally as we are speaking, is most likely to go to San Francisco 49ers. Again, I don't think he's going there. Then the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think he's going to go to either of those teams. Then they have the Denver Broncos. I think you can get value on the Broncos at 4-1. I think you can get value on the Lions at 8-1, and I think you can get value on the Carolina Panthers at 11-1 on potentially drafting Justin Fields. By the way, the Panthers are an interesting choice and so are the Lions, because you'll get a really early read on whether the Lions truly believe in Jared Goff and whether the Carolina Panthers truly believe in Sam Darnold right there based on what they do. And then I think the other team that is a wild card out there is what's going to happen with the New England Patriots. And is Kyle Trask in play at some point? Also, is there a possibility that you look at Texas A&M and Kellen Mond's quarterback? Both of those guys could be early second rounders, but we could see a team decide to jump up at the end of the first round, like happened with Lamar Jackson. Because a team says, you know what, he's going to go early in the second round. Let's go ahead and trade up and get him. So I think Justin Fields is going to end up with the Denver Broncos, and I think that Trey Lance is going to end up with the Detroit Lions. Okay? That's my prediction as to where both of those guys are going to go. I think the Detroit Lions are going to go get a project. I think they're going to bring him in. I think it'll be a good fit. That is how I would break down right now the top of the NFL draft. Dub, do you have the whole list of the Broncos yet?
Yes, I do. I have
all right,
the full list.
Here's the list of sadness for the Denver Broncos.
Since John Elway, Brian Greasy, Chris Miller, Gus Farrat, Steve Berline, Jake Plummer, Danny Cannell, our friend Danny Cannell, Jarius Jackson, Jay Cutler, maybe the most successful story other than
I think
Peyton
that's
Manning.
certainly true, yeah.
Kyle Orton, Chris Sims, Tim Tebow, Brock Osweiler already mentioned, Drew Lock, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Ripon, Brandon Allen.
Brett Ripon, I think. But
Ripon,
yeah, that's where we are. Yeah. And so that's the four of those guys, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dub. You've got Cutler, Tebow, Paxton Lynch, and Brock Osweiler, all first-rounders, all of whom have been busts, really. I mean, Tebow won a postseason playoff game, to his credit. Jay Cutler, by far the most successful of that entire list, I think, since John Elway. But you can see why, based on that list, that the Broncos could be intrigued enough to go back into the draft. And look, they could grab Trey Lance if they really love him. They could grab Justin Fields. I think they may well have that opportunity. But right now, I would bet on Trey Lance to the Lions. He's up from that same geographical area. Give him time to develop behind Jared Goff and find out whether or not Jared Goff is your guy in the future. And simultaneously, I think that basically it's time for the Broncos to go back into the quarterback draft, and I think Justin Fields may be there to be grabbed as well.